And is it running? Nice. Okay, so ruler needed, all right? And this is going to be called rules for ray diagrams for lenses. All right? The rules for the ray diagrams for lenses, and then we'll do some ray diagrams. Okay? 1, converging. All right? And I'm just going to draw me a principal axis here. Just want to make sure that I'm on the screen. So I'm going to draw a principal axis. Actually, I've got 100 pieces of paper underneath this. Let me get rid of these. All right. And I'm going to just take my paper and I'm going to draw a lens. And it looks like I'm going to go 3 and 3. I'm going to put that, I'm going 5 and 3. That's horrendous lens. Doesn't really matter. Here, let me fix it.
So we can use
Gonna have Jocelyn yelling at me because I don't have it the same size. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right.
We can use a sheet for that?
No, because I'm giving the rules. So this is kind of a note. And once I'm done the rules, we will apply it to those pictures. Okay? Yep. Oh. Yeah, it is. Yes. Yep. Which is why I had to fix mine. Like I said, or Jocelyn would have just been yelling at me or something. Okay, and I'm going to put on, what did we say, 2.5? That's not a bad thing to do. So I'm going to go 2.5. So that puts me right there nicely on that square and right there on that square. And there's my PF and there's my SF. And I don't need the 2Fs for the rules. The 2Fs just come into play when we draw some of the ray diagrams. Some interesting things happen to that. So rule number 1, just like in the other rules, and notice I don't have an arrow here. I'm not actually drawing a ray diagram. I'm just doing the rules. A ray that comes in parallel to the principal axis will... Where's it going to go? This is a lens, yep, through the PF. That's what defines the principal focus. Rule number 1. We'll write them down in a moment as some statements. Now I'm going to draw all the rules on the same thing, all right? Does that make sense? The second rule is kind of like, actually, no. The second rule, well, it is kind of like the second rule of the lens, except I've got to send it through the focus first. And it's the secondary focus that comes into play on this one. If a ray is going through the secondary focus, and that's not great, I'm not exactly on it, but it's not bad. So this is rule number 2. A ray that goes through the secondary focus will, what's that? Come out parallel. It's the exact opposite to number 1. That's why we need that secondary focus there. It will emerge parallel to the PA. All right? Okay? Now the last one is the center of curvature. And we don't have a center of curvature. And we don't use the 2Fs. I'm going to start my ray down here on the bottom. And it has to do with the ray that goes right through the vertex. By the way, I forgot to tell you, that point again where it touches the lens is still called the vertex. It's still called V. So you can go back and label those back up on your diagrams when you get a moment. So a ray that goes through the vertex, what do you think it does? It goes straight on through. Because really, it's kind of like coming right down the normal. Rule number 3. Make sense? Let's write them down. This is a note. So number 1, a ray that is parallel to the PA will bend. I was going to write reflect. There's no reflection here. I'm going to just put here will go through the PF. all right? And yes, when I write, I have to speak that way, or it's just chaos. It's my curse of not being able to write and spell very well. Number 2, a ray that goes, goes. S-E or E-S?
Yes.
E-S? You found one of my pet peeve words. Goes. Does also falls into that category as well as a pet peeve word. Yes, yeah, I know what I do wrong. It's just I get it wrong. A ray that goes through R-O-U. Look at I'm messed up now. Through, that's why I scribble. The S-F will emerge. Finish it for me. Parallel to the PA. Just imagine if I wrote out principal axis each time. It would be a train wreck. Number 3, a ray that goes, oh, look at I just goes. I could look up to the one above it. Through, and I'm gonna just put V, right? And I could put a little V in here. V's the vertex, right? Because if you want me to spell vertex, holy cow, are you crazy? There's an X in there. I never use that letter. Through V, goes straight through. Made it. You should be thankful that I have computer technology and PowerPoints, because back in the day when I wrote on the board, if you didn't listen to every word I said and wrote it as a dictation, you would never be able to read it. The first comment when I was in teacher's college, you want to work on that penmanship on the board a little bit. I never did. I'm a rebel. All right. Before I go and do the diverging ones, let's do some examples of this. So I'm getting a new piece of paper, and you guys can keep on going whatever you're doing. And if you have that page, right, that has them up, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing right now. So if you've printed off the page, then you're just following along. If you haven't, you can draw these. It takes 2 seconds to draw them, all right? So I'm going to draw up my principal axis and get up to speed. And by the way, folks, if you think you know what you're doing and you've got pencil and the paper's working for you, then by all means go for it. So I'm going to draw this here. I'll draw this like this. I'm going to make it 3 and 3. And I'm going to use an SF and again, 2.5. So I'm going to put my ruler, if you're drawing, I'm going to put my ruler there on 5 so I can mark 2F. Oops, not 25. 2F. At 2.5 I can write SF. And at 7.5 I can write PF. And at 10 I can write 2F. All right, so then I'm caught up with everybody else. And that first one, where's the image?
After the 2.
So before 2F, right? So I'm going to put, sorry, that's not the image, the object, right? The object. So I'm going to put my object out here before 2F. So I'll just make it two squares high. And again, if you already have that picture, then you're in good shape. That's my O. How many rays do I need in order to find this thing? 2. All right, this is, like I said, this is review. So I'm going to use ray number 1, a ray that is parallel to the principal axis. Because I'm using graph paper, it's a little easier. And look at, that's terrible. I'm not even on the line. Oh well. Is going to go through the PF. And again, I'm rushing here, but it's not going to end up great, but it's going to do as well. And I could do rule number 2. I could go through the SF and come out parallel, or I could do straight on through. Straight on through is an easy one, right? Let me do both. Let's see if it results in the same thing being at the same spot. If I took my time and did this properly, it should result in it being in the same spot. But, you know, impatience and haste sometimes screws that up. So there's rule number 2, out parallel to the principal axis, looking like this. Yeah, that's not bad. Look at, there's a little screw up there. So you'll notice there's where they meet. So there's my image down there. And let's try rule number 3. If I put it at the top of the arrow and I put it right through there. Oh, hey, look at, that's awesome, eh? See how there's the top of my arrow, and it is going to cut through there. So you don't need it, but I'm going to draw it. Oh, look at, I'm actually not cutting through the middle. I cheated. See how I cheated? I didn't actually go through the middle. I cheated to make it work. You only need 2 rays though, right? So you didn't need that 3rd ray. You see what I'm talking about? Am I moving too fast, Jillian?
Yeah. I just think of that very last thing.
Okay, are we okay with this first one?
Yeah.
Are we okay with the second one? Are we okay where the point meets? That gets us our image. Are we okay with the arrow being upside down?
Yeah.
The 3rd rule is a ray that goes through the center goes straight on through.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And what I was showing you there was I could have used that 3rd ray and it would result in the same answer.
Oh.
You see what I mean? But if you take a look at the ray I made, it didn't actually go through the center, so I cheated, so it landed on the right spot. But if I did this very carefully and slowly, I would have been able to get it to be on a nice spot, okay?
Yeah.
Salt. Size. Smaller. Attitude. Inverted. Location. Use points that we can describe it with respect to. Emily, what do you think?
In between PF and 1.
Yeah. Between PF and 2F. Type. Yeah, it's real. And this is what I was talking about. When it comes to lenses, we fully expect light to go through. When it comes to mirrors, we fully expect light to reflect back. So for lenses, the real world is on the back side, on the opposite side of where the object is. Okay? And the virtual world is back there. Yep.
Lenses is off virtually.
Yes, they do. We will end up with a virtual image for a lens. You bet. It's going to be cool. Yep.
Is it the same thing like for converging and diverging? Are they both the same for the real side and the virtual side?
Yes. Yep. Let's do one more and then, yep.
How come the PS and SF switch them for the other one?
Because of the fact that the diverging rays, we want the rays to cross at the PF. And because for a diverging mirror lens, the rays are spreading out, those rays will cross in front, and therefore that's where the PF is. The PF is where the rays meet, the parallel rays meet, or where the parallel rays, after they go through, appear to meet, which is back and front. Let me do one more. Those of you who have the page, you can crash on through. You're going to find that when you get to one that is at SF, you can't use rule number 2 because you can't put it through the F. So you got to use the other rule. And also when the object is at F, just like for a mirror, you're going to find something interesting. All right? Excellent. And if you find that the rays spread out as they come out of the mirror, then you've got to then you've got to extend them behind just like we did before. So if you've got the handouts, go ahead. If you don't, all I'm going to do is draw another one at 2F. I'm going to put one between 2S and SF. I'm going to put one at SF, and then I'm going to put one in between SF and the mirror. So go ahead and draw. I'm going to draw one more with you, and if you need to observe, you can, and if you don't, have a blast. And please do the salt for each one of your examples that you do. Terrible. My principal axis isn't even on a line. You may already be done this, but it's just like for mirrors. Where did our image end up when we had the object at C or 2F? Anybody remember? Yep. It was at C. It was at the same distance. So we might find that to be similar for this. And mine's already a mess. It's never going to be at C. The reason mine's already a mess is because my axis isn't even on the line. My principal axis is not very principal. But I could cheat to make it work because I know the way it's supposed to work. That would be wrong, Mr. Sanders. You can't just cheat to make it work. How would you ever discover anything new if you always cheated to make it work the way you think it should work? Oh, surprise! Look at what I've done. It worked perfectly. Okay, maybe not quite. I'm too far back. All right, my cheating didn't pay off. Not bad though. So I'll do the salt for this one. Okay, so size for this one. I heard some whispers. What is it? For the 2F one. Oh, same. Yours might actually be bigger. Mine is a little bigger as well. It should be very close to being the same. Attitude, inverted. I don't know if you noticed the trends for the mirrors, but whenever you had an inverted image, it was always this type. It's always real. And when you have an upright image, it's always this type. Yeah, and that's always the case. There's a little link there between those two. Location. Sorry? Well, we don't say below because we're talking location away, so at 2F. The inverted tells us it's below. At 2F.
So is the point of having the 2Fs and stuff just for location purposes?
It's for location purposes and for the second rule, right? Rule number 1, I need this. And rule number 2, I need the SF.
No, like 2F.
Yeah, that's only the reason why I put it there, is for location purposes. That is exactly correct. So that I can compare where it is. That's exactly correct. All right, I'm going to stop recording here, and I want you to keep going. I want you to put one in here. I want you to put one at SF. I want you to put one in here. And if you've got the page, then you're already working away. I'm going to come around and take a look and help you out. Okay, let me just stop this thing for a minute.